to another edition. Look, three of us in live and living color for this week's edition of In the Zone Press. We, of course, your everything college basketball guys. By now, you should know I'm Josh.
I'm Peyton.
Tyler.
And we're here again today, just like the past couple of weeks. This week, we got Duke, Virginia in the rematch. By far the biggest game of the weekend coming up. You got number 2 versus number 3 in the AP poll. And in Ken Palm, you've got number 1 versus number 2. It's a mega matchup. It's got national implications. It's got seeding implications. It's got ACC implications. All the drama that you want, especially with Duke winning the first matchup, coming back into Virginia, the revenge factor, everything you could possibly want tied up into this one matchup.
Yeah, Virginia's going to come back for revenge, being on the home floor this time. It should be a good game. I'm excited for it.
Last time around, it was 72-70, so it was a nail biter. There wasn't no blowout in this one, so I think it's going to be the same type of game. Really, really close back and forth. No spread apart. No diving away from each other. It's going to be a nail biter, I believe.
Yeah, and Virginia, of course, is number 1 now. They've actually taken it back over from Michigan as of today of the recording. Of the number 1 overall defensive efficiency rating as far as the number 1 defensive team in America. They were number 1 and number 2 roughly. But Virginia, that's Virginia. That's who they are under Tony Bennett. The pack line defense, everybody knows about their ability to smother you and suffocate you. And this year, we've talked about it in the past, Virginia's got an offense to them this year. Virginia can score the basketball. They've got 3 potential pros, 2 this upcoming year, and then Kyle Guy thinks of eventual pro. They shoot well from 3. They control the pace. They're so hard to beat. And I know you're really high on Virginia this year.
Yes, I am. They are my style of team. Hard-nosed defense, can put the ball in the hole. It's a good combination for winning basketball games. When you can lock someone down and you can still put the ball in the hole on the other end, it's a beautiful combination. There's some teams that can just flat out score, but they couldn't stop a 90-year-old grandma going to the hole. It's this team right here is something pretty special as far as back and forth. Duke's amazing as well. But if you're looking for someone that's capable of knocking these guys off in the tournament, this is one of the very, very few teams that can do it.
And Virginia, just like you said, Virginia suffocates you. Like, they take the air out of you. The best way I can describe their defense over the years has been like a boa constrictor. They're like an anaconda. They're not going to one strike knock you out, kill you with venom. They're just going to slowly wrap around you and suffocate. And every breath you take that you feel like you're is when they clamp down even harder and harder and harder. And before you know it, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes left in the game sometimes, they've suffocated you finally to your lungs collapse, and they've just took the will and the life out of you. Peyton, with that being said, Duke was able to figure out that defense good enough in Cameron in the first meeting. What does Duke do going into Charlottesville this time that is going to allow them to come out with the same result? Do they stick with the same game plan as last time, or does Duke maybe expect a different Virginia playing at home and maybe change things up?
Well, they probably expect a different Virginia playing at home because Virginia's a tough place to play against. I feel like Duke, the same game plan is going to be implemented in the Duke game. I think they're going to try to get into the paint, get Zion in the paint, and hit some shots from 3, which they're not doing well. They're actually shooting 30.8% from 3, which Virginia's shooting almost nearly 40% from 3. And you also mentioned that Virginia's number 1 in defensive efficiency. Duke's actually 4th from that category too. And offensive side, Duke's 4th in offensive efficiency, and Virginia is 5th. So right there, they're even on both sides of the floor, offense and defense. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, it tells you just how close these two teams are. On paper, Duke has the far superior athletes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But when you read the numbers and you actually watch and delve deeper than just raw talent, they're both top 5 in offense and defensive efficiency, and they're number 1 and number 2 in Ken Palm as far as overall ratings. So the talent gap, maybe as far as NBA quality talent, might be better for Duke. The talent level for college teams are like right there.
Yeah. You want to talk about some percentages? Duke not shooting well from 3. Virginia's defense from 3-point land is number 1 overall on defense on the 3-point line. They hold opponents on an average to 24.7% from behind the arc. If Virginia can keep it close to that percentage, it's going to be not a long day for Duke, but it's going to be a struggle for Duke. It ain't going to be like the other day when Boston College was up 2 at halftime and Mike's like, okay, stop playing, and beat them by 30. It's not going to be that type of game.
Yeah, we all expect this one to be close. Now, with that said, if it's a blowout, then it's a blowout. But we all expect this one to be just a nail biter towards the end. With that being said, too, you mentioned Virginia being number one in 3-point, like defending the three, basically.
Yes.
And Duke shooting only 30%, 31% roughly rounded up to what you said.
Yeah.
So for me, if you're Duke, don't settle for the three. Don't fall in love. The best way, and it was proven last year in the tournament, was Baltimore County when they pulled that massive upset, the biggest ever in the college game on the men's side, 16-1. Baltimore County was able to. The one thing it's pack line defense. You're able to beat it if you're able to shoot from outside, and you're able to beat it if you can take the guy one-on-one because they don't like over-rotate on the help. Duke's obviously in the first matchup, and they've got the guys to break them down and go one-on-one. Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett matchup nightmares.
Oh, yeah.
If you're Virginia, on the flip side, I'll ask you, if you're Virginia and you want to get the positive result at home this time, how do you defend all the weapons Duke throws at you? Because last time you did a good job, but you didn't do a good enough job by losing by 2. So this time around, what's your game plan to slow down the Blue Devils?
I think the home court advantage will be a better factor, or it'll be a good factor for them because that hypes you up. You know, I've seen it in person. You see it on TV. When the crowd goes wild, it gives the kids another level of energy. So that could help them out. But they got to make each shot more difficult than the next. You can't let Zion get breakouts. You can't let RJ get mid-range. You've got to stay in front of your man, play as a unit. You got to play. All 5 has got to be one. They can't be one-on-one ball, letting these guys get around you and no help side. That's what Virginia does. They help out tremendously. If you watch their rotational ball on a skip pass or anything, everybody's moving as a unit. It's not one guy, oh crap, this guy's open. Oh crap, this guy's open. It's like a clock. The arms and everything works together at one movement. So that's something that they need to do, and I think they can do against Duke.
That's a great analogy as far as the clock moving as one unit. Another thing, you don't think necessarily of Duke as like a great offensive rebounding team. They're not North Carolina or Kentucky per se.
No.
But the last thing in the world you want to do if you're Virginia to go to get the high power offense and give up offensive rebounds. And the Duke has a couple guys who are capable.
Yes.
RJ Barrett's not the greatest rebounder, but he will sneak in from time to time because he's big.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Reddish not the greatest rebounder, sneak in from time to time. Marcus Bolden, Jack White, Javin DeLaurier, those are all guys who will hit the glass, though. And, of course, Zion.
Yeah.
Virginia has to keep Duke off the backboard.
Yeah, actually, Zion's ranked second in ACC on offensive rebounding. So you got to keep him off the glass, keep the rest of Duke's Blue Devils off the glass. And another thing for Virginia, for Duke, is if you can run in transition, do it. Don't let Virginia get into that pack line defense. Don't let them set that up because it's suffocating, like you mentioned, like a boa constrictor. Don't let Virginia get into that pack line defense because they'll suffocate you and they'll end up winning this game. So if you get a chance to run in transition, do it.
And that's another thing. On the flip side, Tyler, you're Virginia. If I'm Virginia, I say screw the offensive rebounds right now. I put maybe 1 up, 4 back, or at least 2 up, 3 back. Is that how you'd play that?
Oh, you do not want Zion getting out there and doing one of them windmill between the leg crap things that he does, which is cool to see. But that sucks the life out of a team when that happens. So you got to get all 5 back. You got to put your heels in the sand and don't budge. It's like tug of war. You got to anchor down and don't give an inch. You keep pulling, but you don't get tugged. They just got to stay on that pack line and just sink in.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Is Zion's so underrated as far as shooting gaps.
Yeah,
he gets so many of his steals not by like picking you on ball or anything. It's just teams think he's not there because he's playing 4 feet off of the guy, and you throw a lazy 15-foot pass, lazy 16-foot pass, and boom, he's got it, and he's off doing a windmill like you mentioned. If you're Virginia or anybody for that matter playing Duke, especially if you're going Zion side, shorten the passing lanes.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I actually put this down by a minute in my head on King Palm and for steals percentage in the ACC. Zion's actually first, I believe, first or second, so he's top 2 in the ACC when it comes to steal percentage.
Yeah, because 99% of them, I bet, or if you watch the highlights and just watch Duke play, it's because people underestimate where he's out on the floor, and he's so quick for his size.
Mhm.
He's the definition of a freak athlete, and he just shoots the gap, and before you know it, he's down there dunking and making highlights. Another thing, too, if you're Virginia, you've got outstanding players, DeAndre Hunter, you've got Ty Jerome, you've got Kyle Guy, outstanding players. But you're going to have to take care of the basketball because Trey Jones is absolutely one of the top 2, in my opinion, in the nation as far as pressuring the basketball.
Yeah.
Yep. You need whoever that cat's on, you just need to defer to the other guy and let them bring the ball up the floor. You've got a couple guys capable of running the offense. Don't let this guy be a factor of you on 94 feet, because if he is, he's going to get some pockets. He's going to get some steals. He's going to get some easy layups. These guys, I mean, they average 10 steals a game, almost 11. So that's a pretty good feat. Just steals, not even forcing turnovers, just steals. They're averaging 10 a game. You know, the factors of Zion, like you were mentioning, and then this cat, they can really shoot the gap and lock you down one-on-one. It's not just Virginia that can play you heads up. Duke surprisingly can do it. It's not surprising, but it's to the novice it is, because you're seeing the offensive end. Duke traditionally will push you back and make you run your offense almost at the painted circle of where you tip off. You are pushed back 5-8 feet from the 3-point line. So it's not just Virginia that's an amazing defensive team. These guys are as well.
See, I'm glad you mentioned that, because Duke in the past, back in the day, if you want to say, when Mike Krzyzewski had his legendary teams, you think about the Battier, Boozer, Jay Williams, Dunleavy teams back that won the title in 01, back all in the 90s when he was winning titles. Those teams were so connected and so good defensively. You always heard opposing coaches saying, like, hell, we can't even run our offense regular. We have to run it out past the volleyball line, essentially. And this team, Duke teams, kind of got back to it, but you forget about it, like you said, because you see Duke scoring 90 points. I think they've scored 90 already, like 15 times or something crazy.
Yeah.
So that's a dangerous combination, a team that scores 90 and will hold you to 60. It's absolutely dangerous.
That's damn near on the money. Duke averages 87 points a game. They hold their opposing teams to 65.2. So not knowing that off the top of the head, that's a damn close assessment. 21.8 points difference per game. Now Virginia, on the flip side of that, just to spiel with you, there are 20 points difference, 72.9 to 52.9. So the margin of victory is the same, but you can see how each team plays off of that. You know, at 87 points per game, Duke likes to run. Virginia at 72, they're still running a little bit, but they slow it down when they need to. So that's just a little thing, an insight of what you just mentioned.
Tempo. You mentioned it with Duke wants to get up. Virginia wants to work you into the shot clock and just really wear you down. Tempo is going to be key in this one. Virginia, offensively, they run such good offense. They run these little floppy set actions. They run the down screens. They run the zipper cuts. They run all that good stuff, the motion cuts.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you see them run too much like the norm now, just a high ball screen, flat ball screen. But they will. But they like running more stuff for like Kyle Guy, DeAndre Hunter off the ball, stuff like that, to get a guy open for a three. And we've talked about it before in the past. The absolute, like the worst feeling in the world when you're playing a team like Virginia who's just like suffocating you in defense is for them to run the shot clock down and hit a three on you. Because now you're working on defense. You're spending 30 seconds of energy chasing these guys around, and then they hit a three on you. That's just how Virginia just plays. They wear you down physically, they wear you down mentally, and before you know it, you're broken. Let's go ahead. Peyton, let's start with you. Your keys, should Duke walk away with the series sweep of Virginia, Duke does what to win the game on Saturday?
One of my keys is to control the glass. I think we get some offensive boards, Zion getting in, get some offensive boards, Jack White, all of them. That could be a big key for them to help them get second chance opportunities. And same thing on the defensive side. Another one of my keys is get inside the paint and finish. They're not shooting well from the three, almost nearly 31% from deep. Get inside the paint. That's what they get most of the points at, is in the paint, mid-range game. So if they get inside that paint, expose that pack line defense, then Virginia could be in trouble. And my third key is, like I mentioned, run in transition. If you get the opportunity to do so, do it, because that eliminates that pack line D. It won't let Virginia get in that pack line D that's suffocating. So if you can run in transition, Trey Jones, RJ Barrett, Zion, whatever it is, whoever it is, if you can run in transition, that's the keys to get this W at Virginia.
And for Virginia, I know you got a couple of Virginia. Virginia wins. You say Virginia does what to win?
One key, make Duke hit outside shots from the three. Like I said, 31% from three for Duke, not that very good. If you can keep if you can make Duke prove they can hit shots outside the perimeter, make RJ Barrett hit shots, Zion, Trey Jones, Cam Reddish, whoever it is, force them outside that three-point line and force them to hit shots. And if they can force him to do that, and obviously Duke's not shooting well from the three, then Duke could be in trouble. Another one, getting your offense a little bit quicker. I know they like to be patient and run the offense to get their best shot possible. But I noticed something in that first game that they won the shot clock down to like 3 seconds and they ended up forcing a bad shot or turning the ball over or a shot clock violation. So if you can get your offense just a little bit quicker, you can still be patient, but just getting your offense a little bit quicker to get some shots up, I think that's a big key. And my last key for Virginia is hit some shots. You got Kyle Guy, DeAndre Hunter, and Ty Jerome shooting 40% or more from three. That's incredible. If you have those three guys shooting that well from three, if you can hit some shots, I think Virginia could win this game.
Very nice. Very nice. Mr. Cook, Duke wins. What do you say happens?
I got two of the three are the same as you. You got to push the ball. The quicker you get your offense rolling or break out, the less time you give Virginia to set that lineup. So you got to push. You got to look for every opportunity to get down the court as quickly as possible. You got to crash offensive glass, just like Peyton was saying. You got to force them into some. Oh, what am I here? Virginia will force you into some tough shots. You got to get second chance shots off these tough shots. You got to be able to get the opportunity to get a rebound and put one back in. Then my third one, Zion needs a Zion night. You got to have 25 plus points, 12 plus rebounds from this cat. It's going to be that's a need. That's a need for these guys. I know RJ averages just a little bit more, but Zion is the guy that needs to do that.
That can't be overstated enough. If Zion has an off night, they have proven that RJ can carry the load, or even Cam Reddish at times. But Zion needs a big night against a physical team like this that dominates on the defensive end.
Yep.
Cavaliers, they make this series tied 1-1. And we're able to knock off the Blue Devils on Saturday night at home. Virginia does what?
You need to force Duke into some deep shot clock shots. 25 to 28 seconds off the shot clock. Each time that you are on defense, you have to force a hard shot and a long into the deep possession of each time you have the ball. 20 seconds at the bare minimum. You got to make these guys shoot the ball late into the shot clock and make it difficult. Because after 10 minutes, after the first half, 10 minutes into the second half, it gets frustrating. It gets hard. And that's where it's going to be a factor. It's like a slow squeeze, like we're mentioning. We keep coming back to that. It's a slow pressure that you need to be consistent on. Next thing, you got to play as a unit. It's going to take top to bottom. I don't care whose number gets called. You need to go in there and do what you were supposed to do, whether it's guarding Zion, whether it's stopping RJ, whether it's just going in there and committing a hard foul because you just need to change momentum. Whatever you get called to do, you need to do it. And the last thing, I think this is huge. Between RJ and Zion, they average 55 a game. You need to keep these guys. My magic number for this is 32 points. Now you say that's kind of a lot for two guys. I'm taking off 23 points between these guys. So that's my thing. You got to keep these guys under 32.
Great points. Real quick, mine. Duke. I'll try to mention a couple real quick we haven't mentioned. Duke. I will piggyback. Tyler's correct. Duke must get offensive rebounds. Duke, I'll put a number on it. Duke, you need at least 10 offensive rebounds. to give yourself second chance, third chance to really break this Virginia pack line down. Number 2, you need Cam Reddish to go for about 15 to 20. He's been playing a lot better the last 2 to 3 weeks, finding his confidence, finding the rhythm he had at the beginning of the year. But Reddish, because what Tyler just said, Zion and RJ's averaging 55 together on the year combined. But if one of them are taken out of the game for whatever reason, Cam Reddish needs to be the next guy up. Cam Reddish needs 15 to 20. On the flip side, Virginia needs to go at Zion Williamson. They need to attack him and get him in foul trouble. You get Zion sitting on the bench, he can't hurt you, right? Attack. Don't worry about him blocking your shots. Don't worry about this. Run your offense at him, get him in foul trouble. And the other thing for Virginia is Tyler mentioned, Virginia is holding teams to 62 points per game or 52 points per game?
52.
Yeah. Duke's going to more than likely score more than that. But if you hold Duke below 62, we'll just add an extra 10. You hold Duke below 62 points, you win this game. Anything above that, you're in iffy territory. If it's 70 or above, Duke probably wins.
Yep. That's pretty much on the money of what happened, 72-70 last time around.
Yeah. So 62 and below, Virginia, you win. 62 to 70, it's iffy. Anything above 70, I think Duke wins probably handily. Just keeping it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Prediction, real quick, rapid fire predictions. What do you got, Peyton?
I got Duke winning 74-71.
Tyler?
Go ahead.
You on mine?
Yep.
I see Virginia finding a way. I think I might even have to change. I think I picked Duke on the pick'ems, but now that we've got the discussion and now we've got to look at stats, I'm going to change my pick. I got Virginia holding home court. I got Virginia. Virginia wins 67-61. I think it's right in that middle zone I said, because I do think Duke's going to score enough, but I think Virginia's going to choke the life out of them at the very end. Virginia 67-61.
This ain't no Ken Palm stat. This ain't no ESPN stat. This is an ECB stat. Over 3. 1 for 2. 2 for 1. Virginia 69-64. Bringing it home. Beating the Blue Devils. Tying up the series. This could be a 4-matchup series.
Very well.
4 matchups. This is 2 of the best teams that we can see. This is the second. This ain't going to be last because they're going to meet in the ACC championship.
Damn right there.
So I'm sorry about Louisville. Sorry about North Carolina. There is nothing going to stop these 2. There's another one for you. There's nothing going to stop these 2 from at least meeting one more time. So Virginia's going to tie it up on Saturday, 6 p.m. ESPN, primetime game day, 69-65. I don't care about these notes. Who gives a shit? Virginia's taking it.
I like the passes. I like it. That's been another episode. We can't end on a much higher note than that. You heard our predictions. Tune in Saturday. And like, share, subscribe this video. And we will catch you Sunday on the podcast. The award record-breaking podcast that is everything
College basketball.
Josh, Peyton, Tyler, we out. Boom!